Tricky topic today. Stagnating. Are you stagnating in your education business? I have experienced stagnation quite a bit. And maybe you're thinking, no, Claire, I've never experienced stagnation. So I would challenge that and say, are you sure? Have you been looking hard enough? Maybe the fact that you don't think you've experienced stagnation is stagnation itself. That's just something to consider. And, stagnation in your education business can look like not feeling that you have the same passion that you once did. It could also be stagnation in sales. It could be stagnation in getting out to more customers. But ultimately, I think it comes back to stagnation in yourself. Now, I am somebody who is always personally growing. So I can't say that when I felt stagnation, I haven't been personally growing. But I do think there are elements of that personal growth which maybe haven't caught up and we haven't quite understood things. And the reason why I want to talk about this today is because I have been on a bit of a journey over the last 9 months, particularly stepping out of Classroom Secrets. But I had a conversation with somebody a few weeks ago, and when you kind of talk things through and you realise, oh, right, yes, all of these things happened, and then this was the learning from it. Sometimes the learnings come in different ways, and this was one of the learnings, and I wanted to share that with you, and it's about people. It's about yourself and it's about people. And I think stagnation or not feeling like you really have got that something when you wake up in the morning, because I'm somebody who loves to jump out of bed and it doesn't always happen. That's a sign for me that I'm stagnating. So maybe look for the signs in your life. What makes me feel like I'm stagnating? What makes me feel just a bit, meh, and down? But for me, it's not jumping out of bed in the morning. And so anyway, to cut a long story short, it can be people. So let's talk about that. It can be people who don't help you move forward. Not that it's their fault at all, but it can be in our relationship. So let's just talk about that for today. Who do you have relationships with? And what are those relationships like? Particularly business relationships. So maybe you've got business friends. That's what I'm talking about, really. Business friends more than anything. Who are you hanging around with? A few years into Classroom Secrets, we started networking in Halifax. And we actually found that quite hard, because while it was nice to meet people and become known in the area, networking really is supposed to be about give and get. And it was very much, buy our service. But then we're also talking to people who we were giving them a lot of help, and there's no problem with that. But we weren't getting what we needed out of any of the relationships. And we soon realised that kind of local networking wasn't necessarily for us. And now we're part of a group of founders who are people who have had similar experiences to us, or are experiencing things that we want to experience in the future. And I think that's the difference. So I want you to have a think about that. When you have relationships with business friends, do they feel life-giving? Do they feel energizing? Or do they feel quite draining? Because I think as business owners, sometimes we can latch onto somebody else's success and think, oh gosh, I want that. And we tend to forget that we can't get that from that person. We can only learn from their success and then create it for ourselves. And we're all guilty of this. So I'm not saying that you've got people in your life that are bad. It's just that maybe they're not aligned with what you need right now. And you just need to be aware of that. So we can feel like we're having the life sucked out of us sometimes. If somebody we have a relationship with has that attitude at that moment, like, oh, I want to get success like that person, and they think that they get it from you. It's not a conscious thing. It's more a subconscious thing where they're channeling their energy in the wrong way and it's actually taking from your energy. And the problem with that is you need that energy to grow your business. Your energy together should be breeding more energy. It shouldn't be a transfer from one to the other. And this was just what really came out from the conversation I had with a friend a couple of weeks ago. And I just thought, it makes so much sense now, because I feel like over the last 9 months, certain things have happened in my life and I've felt this shift, but I've not understood why. But that just helped me come to realize exactly what it was. And it's all to do with energy. So think about these relationships. I'm not saying cut the relationships out, but do you have relationships where you feel like you're always giving advice, but you're not necessarily getting the advice back that you need, or you're getting advice, but from somebody who's not qualified to give that advice, because it's kind of pointless, really. We can all have an opinion on something, but does it come from experience? I think for me, that is one of the most important things. And I've always believed that, and I know not everyone believes that. Some people don't believe that you need to have experienced it first to mentor or anything like that. And this is where it's interesting, the line between coaches and mentors. But we were at an event with the founders group that I mentioned, and I was talking to someone who had 250 practices and had just exited that business, and he was talking to somebody else who was in coaching and mentoring, and he was talking about how important it was that people just really want a mentor who's actually been there and done it and had that experience. And I thought, yeah, I'm not the only person who believes that. And the more I network with people who have definitely had a lot more success than me, the more that mindset is there, that it's important to make sure that you are mentored by somebody who's actually done it. So, back to your relationships. Do you have an awareness of the exchange of energy in the conversations that you're having? How often are the conversations? Is that helpful to your business? Does it help you feel motivated afterwards to grow your business more? Or do you feel like you are responsible for somebody else's business, or that you just feel down because it's been a really negative conversation? Often I find it can turn to not being very nice about other people sometimes. And that's always tricky. I find that hard. I prefer to step away from that because it doesn't make me feel very good, to be honest. So, I like to talk about not just business. It's about who you are as well. And, this is a really good example of who you are affecting your business. And having an awareness of that is just such a fundamental part. So I challenge you to just assess your business relationships this week and just work out if they are actually serving you when it comes to growing your business. And think about ways you can mitigate that. I'm not saying stop the relationships, but how can you steer the relationships towards a more positive future? How could you open up to more relationships that will help you grow your business where you are feeling that energy? Because positive relationships are so powerful when you are getting what you need as well. And on that note, our podcast has come to a close. I will be updating you a little bit more about the new education business club that's coming. That will be in a few weeks' time. And I will see you next week.